Welcome back, everybody. You know how we all wonder what it really takes to be successful? Well, today we're going to break it down, really get into the nitty-gritty of John C. Maxwell's book, How Successful People Think. So you get all the juicy insights without having to read the whole thing yourself.
Awesome. And he starts off kind of unexpectedly, right? It's not all about who you know or how much money you got.
Yeah, he kind of throws a curveball right off the bat.
He does.
Doesn't he? So what is the secret sauce then, according to Maxwell?
Well, he says, and this is a pretty big statement, it all boils down to how we think.
Okay.
Not just about having those aha moments, but the whole approach, the mental habits we build.
Interesting.
He thinks that's the real difference between those who hit their goals and those who, don't.
So you're saying it's not like you're just born with this success mindset.
Right.
Is there a way to kind of rewire our brains to think that way?
That's what he says. One of the first things he digs into is this whole idea of big picture thinking.
Okay.
Imagine being in a forest. It's easy to get lost in all the individual trees, right? Big picture thinking is taking a step back, seeing the whole forest,
Seeing the forest for the trees.
Yeah, exactly. It's about connecting all those things that seem totally random.
Okay, but how do we actually apply that, to our everyday life, our work?
All right, so let's say you're launching a new product. Big picture thinking wouldn't just focus on the product itself,
right?
But the market trends, the competition, even stuff like cultural shifts or tech changes that could affect things.
So it's like seeing beyond just what's right in front of you.
Yes.
Understanding the whole context.
Exactly, precisely. It's like having a mental zoom lens, going from close-ups to panoramas.
I get it. Sounds a little tiring, though.
Yeah.
Can anyone learn that? Or are some people just wired that way?
Maxwell thinks it's a skill, like learning guitar or a new language. It takes practice, but the more you do it, the better you get at seeing the connections and what they mean.
So it's about being intentional, not just letting our minds wander. We actually try to find those broader perspectives.
Yes, exactly.
How do we do that, though?
Yeah.
Any, practical tips?
Maxwell has some exercises to help. One is exposing yourself to new info, new viewpoints all the time.
Right.
Read stuff outside your usual interests, go to talks on topics you don't know much about.
So breaking out of those echo chambers, getting those different views.
Yes. He also talks about this connecting the dots thinking.
Okay.
Every time you learn something new, ask, how does this fit with what I already know?
Okay.
What could it mean? How might it affect my work, my life?
So it's like our brains become pattern recognition machines, always looking for those hidden connections.
Exactly. The more you practice, the better you get at spotting them, understanding what it all means.
Makes sense.
But here's the thing. Big picture thinking sets the stage, gives you context, but it's only one part of the story.
Okay, so what's the other part? We got the wide lens view. What else is there?
Got to be able to zoom in and focus, too.
Okay.
Like a photographer, right? They might start wide to show how big and awesome the scene is.
Right.
But then they use a telephoto lens for the details. A single tree, a rock, a beam of light, that's focus thinking.
So honing in on specific goals, priorities, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Big picture shows the forest. Focus thinking shows the individual trees.
Right.
And helps us work with them effectively.
I get it. Both are important. Big picture for the vision, focus for getting it done.
Right.
But let's be real. Staying focused is hard.
It is.
Distractions everywhere. How do we get that laser focus Maxwell talks about?
He's got some good advice. Start with a clear objective. What are you actually trying to do?
Okay.
What's the outcome you want? If you don't have that clear target, your focus is all over the place.
It's like trying to shoot an arrow without aiming. You might hit something, but probably not what you wanted.
Exactly. Then, once you got that target, he says, use the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule.
Oh, yeah. Classic time management. How does that go again?
80% of your results come from just 20% of what you do.
Right.
Got to find that crucial 20%, the stuff that really moves you towards your goals, and prioritize it like crazy.
Makes sense. But sometimes figuring that out is easier said than done.
I know, right?
How do we pinpoint those high-impact activities?
He suggests an activity audit. Track your time for a week, work and personal life.
Okay.
Then analyze. which activities are really pushing you toward your goals, which are just busy work or distractions.
So being honest with ourselves about where our time actually goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once you've found those high-impact activities, schedule them in, protect that time like it's gold.
Okay.
Treat them like crucial meetings, can't be missed.
Making focused work non-negotiable, part of the routine.
Exactly. And he's clear this takes discipline, saying no to distractions. Turn off the phone, close the email, create a space where you can really dive in.
So carving out those pockets of time where you can get into that flow state and really make progress.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And Maxwell believes this is how you reach those ambitious goals, those big milestones.
It's about being in control of your time and energy, not letting the day just run you over.
Yes.
But that brings up another thing. We've talked about focusing on what's high impact, but how do we even know which activities to prioritize in the first place?
And that's where understanding your strengths comes in. Maxwell thinks we all have these unique talents, things we're naturally good at. And a big part of success is figuring out what those are and putting your energy into using and developing them.
So playing to our strengths instead of trying to be good at everything.
Yes. He even says working on your weaknesses is a waste of time and energy. Focus on what you're good at, delegate or outsource the stuff that drains you and doesn't fit your strengths.
I like that idea, focusing on our strengths, but how do we even find them? Sometimes it's hard to see our own talents.
It is. He suggests a couple things. Look back at your successes. What have you done that you're really proud of? What skills or talents did you use to get there?
So looking for those patterns, seeing where we've already been successful to find those hidden strengths.
Exactly. And ask for feedback from colleagues, friends, family.
Right.
They might see things in us that we miss.
It's like having that outside perspective, a mirror showing us things we don't always see ourselves.
Exactly, precisely. And once you've got those core strengths, figure out how to use them in your work in life.
Okay.
Find opportunities where you can use and grow those strengths.
So lining up our work and goals with those natural talents we've already got.
Exactly. And he says, when we do that, we not only get better results, but we feel more fulfilled, happier with what we're doing.
I love that. Working smarter, not harder. Doing work that feels both challenging and rewarding.
That's it.
Awesome.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is about finding that perfect fit between what you're good at and what you love to do. But Maxwell doesn't just stop there.
Okay.
He brings us up this point that even with the best plans and even when we're really focused, sometimes things just don't work out the way we expect.
Right.
That's where realistic thinking comes in.
Okay, so this sounds like kind of the opposite of all that big dreaming and possibility thinking we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Isn't realistic thinking kind of a slippery slope to just being pessimistic?
A lot of people think that.
Right.
But Maxwell says that's not what he's talking about at all.
Okay.
Realistic thinking is about looking at the limitations,
Oh, okay.
the things that could go wrong, the hard truths
Right.
that might pop up along the way.
Okay.
It's about taking off those rose-colored glasses and seeing the situation for what it really is,
Gotcha.
both the good and the bad.
So being grounded in reality, but not letting that like totally drag us down.
Exactly. It's like when you build a house.
Okay.
You can have the most amazing plans, the best builders, but if you build it on a shaky foundation, it's not going to last.
Right.
Realistic thinking is about creating that strong foundation for all our goals and plans.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how that could be helpful.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm much more of a shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land among the stars kind of person.
I hear you.
Doesn't all this realistic thinking stuff kind of hold us back from reaching our full potential?
Maxwell actually says it's the opposite.
Oh, really?
By admitting those possible challenges right up front, we're actually more prepared to handle them. It's not about lowering our goals, but about making a stronger plan that includes those inevitable roadblocks.
So being ready for anything, having those backup plans in place.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
He even suggests doing what he calls pre-mortems for our projects.
What does that mean?
Basically, you imagine your project completely failed.
Oh, wow.
And then you work backwards,
Okay.
trying to figure out all the different things that could have caused it to fail.
Interesting. So instead of just assuming everything will go perfectly,
We're actively looking for those potential problems.
Exactly.
Okay.
And once you've spotted those possible pitfalls, you can then come up with ways to avoid them.
Okay.
It's like having a safety net so that even if you trip up,
Yeah.
you won't fall too hard.
I can see how that can make you feel more secure, even when you're going after those big goals.
Right.
So realistic thinking isn't about limiting ourselves, but about being smart and proactive.
Exactly.
Got it.
And he really stresses that this approach leads to a more lasting kind of success because it's built on careful planning and preparation, not just wishful thinking.
This is all making a lot of sense.
Good.
But one thing I'm wondering is, how does realistic thinking fit with all that creative thinking and possibility thinking we talked about earlier?
Right.
Aren't those kind of contradictory?
It might seem that way, but Maxwell actually sees them as working together.
Really?
Realistic thinking is like the base, the grounded perspective. But once you've got that solid foundation,
you can let your creativity run wild.
So it's about balancing those two seemingly opposite forces.
Exactly.
Okay.
Think of a tightrope walker.
Okay.
They need to be super focused and precise with their movements.
Right.
But they also need balance and fluidity to move along that narrow rope.
Got it.
Realistic thinking gives you the focus and precision, while creative thinking brings in the balance and adaptability.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot between those two.
Exactly.
So how do we actually achieve that balance? How can we be both realistic and creative in our thinking?
Maxwell has a few ideas.
Okay.
One is to make time for both types of thinking.
Okay.
Block out time for brainstorming and coming up with ideas.
Right.
Where you can really let your imagination go.
Okay.
But also block out time for critical analysis and evaluation, where you can look at those ideas through a more realistic lens.
So making space for both like brainstorming and then narrowing things down.
Exactly.
Got it.
He also says it's super important to look for different perspectives.
Okay.
Surround yourself with people who think differently than you do. Challenge your own assumptions by looking at new ideas and viewpoints.
So basically expanding our minds and getting out of those echo chambers.
Yes. He even suggests finding devil's advocates.
What does that mean?
People who will challenge your ideas and make you think harder.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need those voices that disagree with us.
We do.
To push us out of our comfort zone and help us see things from a new angle.
Exactly.
But this brings up another point.
Okay.
We've been talking a lot about how individuals think.
Right.
But how does all this apply to working together in teams?
Right. That's where shared thinking comes in.
Okay.
Maxwell has a whole chapter on it.
Nice.
He's a big believer that when people work together the right way, they can achieve much more than they could on their own.
So the classic two heads are better than one idea.
Exactly.
But how do we make sure it's actually good shared thinking?
Right.
Just putting a bunch of people in a room together doesn't automatically lead to great ideas.
It doesn't.
So what does Maxwell say?
He says that the most important thing is to have a culture of trust and respect. People need to feel safe sharing their ideas.
Right.
Even if those ideas are unconventional or go against the norm.
So creating a space where people feel comfortable speaking their minds, even if their ideas are different.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And he stresses that this starts with the leader.
Okay.
Leaders have to show that they're open to different viewpoints and willing to listen.
So leading by example, setting the tone for that kind of inclusive and collaborative environment.
Exactly.
Right.
And once you have that foundation of trust and respect, the next step is to focus on the process.
Okay.
Shared thinking isn't just about brainstorming a ton of ideas.
Right.
It's about having a structured way to come up with ideas, talk about them, and make decisions.
So having a framework for that collaborative process.
Exactly. He suggests using different techniques like brainstorming, mind mapping, SWOT analysis, even role-playing. Wow. To encourage creative thinking and get people thinking from different angles.
So using those tools to guide the discussion and make sure everyone gets to share their thoughts.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he emphasizes that the goal of shared thinking isn't to find the one right answer,
Right.
but to look at all the possibilities and figure out the best solution for the whole team.
So it's about taking advantage of that collective intelligence, bringing in everyone's unique perspectives and experiences.
Exactly.
I like that.
And he argues that this kind of collaborative thinking leads to more innovative solutions, stronger buy-in from the team, and ultimately more successful outcomes.
This all makes sense.
Good.
But how do we make sure that shared thinking doesn't just turn into groupthink?
Right.
Where everyone just agrees with whoever is the most outspoken.
That's a good point, and Maxwell talks about that too.
Okay.
He says it's crucial to create a culture where people feel comfortable disagreeing and where those different opinions are valued and encouraged.
So actively looking for those dissenting viewpoints and making it safe for people to challenge the norm.
Exactly.
Yes.
And he suggests using things like devil's advocacy and red teaming.
Okay.
To intentionally poke holes in assumptions and look at things from different sides.
So creating that kind of healthy tension that can lead to new ideas and better solutions.
Precisely.
I like that.
Yeah, it's important.
But this brings up another question.
Okay.
We've been discussing success in a pretty general way.
Right.
Does Maxwell ever talk about the ethics of success?
He does.
Oh, he does?
He has a whole chapter dedicated to what he calls unselfish thinking.
Okay.
He says that true success isn't just about reaching your own goals, but about using your thinking to make a positive impact on the world around you.
So it's about shifting from a me focus to a we focus.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he emphasizes that this takes a change in mindset from focusing on personal gain to focusing on adding value to others.
So thinking about how our actions affect other people and using our thinking to make a positive difference.
Precisely.
I like that.
And he says that this kind of thinking not only benefits others,
Right.
but it also gives our own lives a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment.
That's a powerful idea.
It is.
It's about realizing that true success isn't just about what we achieve for ourselves,
Right.
but about the positive impact we have on others.
Exactly.
So how do we actually put that into practice?
Yeah.
What does unselfish thinking look like in everyday life?
Maxwell has some suggestions.
Okay.
One is to simply make a conscious effort to put others first.
Right.
Think about the needs of those around you and ask yourself how you can use your thinking to help them.
So practicing empathy, putting ourselves in other people's shoes.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
He also suggests looking for ways to give back to your community.
Okay.
Volunteer your time, donate to a cause you care about, or just lend a helping hand to a friend who needs it.
Yeah. So taking action, making a real difference in other people's lives.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he emphasizes that these acts of kindness don't have to be huge gestures.
Right.
Even small acts of generosity and compassion can create a ripple effect.
Like the butterfly effect, those small actions can have a big impact on the world around us.
Precisely.
But this makes me think
Yeah.
we live in a really competitive world
We do.
where everyone's trying to be successful.
Right.
Doesn't this unselfish thinking stuff kind of put us at a disadvantage?
Maxwell actually says it does the opposite.
Really?
He believes that unselfish thinking can actually be a competitive advantage
How so?
because it builds trust and goodwill.
Okay.
When you genuinely care about others and prioritize their needs, people are more likely to want to work with you,
Right.
support you,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
help you succeed.
So it's about creating those strong relationships
Yeah,
that are based on mutual respect and support.
exactly.
Okay.
And he stresses that this leads to a more collaborative and positive work environment where everyone feels valued and motivated to do their best.
I can see how that would make the whole team more successful.
Right.
It's about creating a win-win situation where everyone benefits.
Exactly.
This is all great.
Good.
We've talked about big picture thinking, focus thinking,
Yeah.
realistic thinking, creative thinking,
Right.
shared thinking, and unselfish thinking.
Yes.
Is there anything else we need to know about how successful people think?
Maxwell has one more type of thinking he wants to talk about,
Okay.
and it might be the most important one of all.
Okay. I'm all ears.
It's called bottom line thinking.
Bottom line thinking. Okay. What's that all about?
Bottom line thinking is all about clarity, focus, and getting things done.
Okay.
It's about figuring out what the essential goal is,
Right.
getting rid of distractions, and taking action to achieve the results you want.
So cutting through all the noise and zeroing in on what truly matters.
Exactly.
I like that.
Imagine you're a ship captain sailing through a storm. You have to constantly adjust your course, deal with the wind and waves,
Right.
and make sure you're staying on track to reach your destination.
Yeah.
Bottom line thinking is like having a compass and rudder,
Okay.
guiding you and keeping you steady in the middle of all the chaos.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It's about keeping your eye on the prize even when there are challenges and distractions.
Exactly.
So how do we develop that kind of thinking?
Maxwell has a few suggestions.
Okay.
First, he says it's important to define a clear bottom line for every project or goal.
Okay.
What is the absolute must-have outcome you're aiming for?
Right.
What does success look like in this specific situation?
So having that crystal clear definition of what we're trying to achieve.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Once you have that bottom line in mind, the next step is to create a plan to get there.
Okay.
This is where strategic thinking comes in.
Right.
You break down that big goal into smaller, more manageable steps,
Okay.
and then figure out the key actions you need to take for each step.
So it's like having a roadmap to success with clear milestones and specific steps to take along the way.
Exactly.
Got it.
And he points out that this plan should be flexible.
Okay.
As you run into challenges and learn new things.
Right.
You might need to change course.
Yeah.
But always keep that bottom line in mind. And make sure your actions are aligned with reaching that ultimate goal.
So being strategic and intentional, but also being able to adapt as we go.
Precisely.
Makes sense.
And he argues that this leads to greater efficiency because you're not wasting time and energy on things that don't contribute to the bottom line.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
And making sure every effort is focused on achieving that desired outcome.
Exactly.
I like that.
And he emphasizes that bottom line thinking is crucial for success in every area of life, whether it's your career, your relationships, or your personal goals.
This is all really valuable.
Good.
But one thing I'm wondering is how bottom line thinking fits with those other types of thinking we've discussed. It seems like it might clash with creative thinking or possibility thinking.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
But Maxwell sees them as working together.
Okay.
Bottom line thinking provides the structure and focus.
Right.
While creative thinking and possibility thinking allow for innovation and exploration within that structure.
So it's about having that balance between structure and flexibility.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
It's like building a skyscraper.
Okay.
You need a strong foundation and a solid framework to support the weight of the building.
Right.
But you also need creative architects and engineers to design those innovative features and make the building both functional and beautiful.
That's a perfect analogy.
It works.
It's about having that blend of practicality and creativity.
Right.
That balance between structure and innovation.
Exactly.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you're getting it.
We've covered so many different types of thinking that contribute to success.
We have.
But is there anything else we can do to improve our thinking skills?
Maxwell is a big believer in reflection. Okay. He says that taking time to think about our experiences, both the good and the bad, is crucial for understanding things better, gaining perspective, and making better decisions in the future.
So taking a pause, stepping back from the everyday rush.
Yes.
And really thinking about what we've learned and how we can grow from those experiences.
Exactly. He even suggests making reflection a regular part of our routine.
Okay.
Schedule time in your day or week to sit down and think about what went well, what could have been better, and what lessons you can take away.
So making reflection a deliberate practice, not just something we do randomly.
Precisely.
Okay.
He suggests using different techniques to help with reflection.
Okay. Like what?
Like journaling, meditation, or even just taking a quiet walk in nature.
So finding ways to quiet our minds and create space for deeper thinking?
Exactly.
I like that.
And he emphasizes that reflection isn't just about dwelling on the past. It's about using those insights to guide our actions in the present and shape our decisions in the future.
So turning those reflections into actionable insights that help us grow and improve.
Precisely.
Gotcha.
And he argues that when we make reflection a regular habit, we develop a stronger sense of self-awareness, clarity, and wisdom.
This is all so valuable.
It is.
It's a good reminder that thinking is a skill that can be developed and improved, just like any other skill.
Exactly.
But I'm curious, does Maxwell have any specific tips for becoming better thinkers?
He does.
Okay, what are they?
He offers a lot of practical advice throughout the book, but one of the key themes is the importance of challenging our own thinking.
So not just accepting things at face value, but really questioning assumptions and exploring other viewpoints.
Exactly.
Right.
And he encourages us to be skeptical of popular thinking,
Right.
to be wary of those easy answers and quick fixes that often promise more than they can deliver.
So being critical thinkers, not just passively absorbing information. Got it.
And he suggests a few ways to challenge our own thinking.
Okay.
One is to simply ask more questions.
Okay.
Don't just accept things as they are.
Right.
Ask why.
Yeah.
Ask how.
Right.
Ask what if.
So cultivating that curiosity and that willingness to dig deeper.
Exactly.
Okay.
He also encourages us to look for diverse perspectives, talk to people who have different backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences.
Right.
Read books and articles that challenge your assumptions.
So expanding our minds and breaking free from those echo chambers.
Precisely.
Okay.
He even suggests intentionally seeking out dissenting voices.
What do you mean?
People who disagree with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
It's about being willing to have those tough conversations, to listen to opposing viewpoints.
Right.
And to use those differences to sharpen our own thinking.
I like that.
Yeah, it's important.
It can be uncomfortable.
It can.
But it's how we grow and develop as thinkers. So embracing that discomfort as a sign that we're stretching ourselves and expanding our minds.
Precisely.
This is all great stuff.
It is.
It's a reminder that we should be critical thinkers.
Yes.
Evaluating ideas based on their merit, not just their popularity.
Exactly.
And that real progress often comes from those who are willing to think differently and challenge the status quo.
Precisely.
But I'm curious, does Maxwell offer any specific advice for how to overcome the pull of popular thinking?
He does.
How do we break away from the crowd and develop a more independent mindset?
He outlines a few key strategies.
Okay.
First, he encourages us to appreciate thinking that's different from our own.
So being open to diverse perspectives and learning from those who see things differently than we do.
Exactly.
Got it.
And he suggests actively seeking out those who hold different views and having respectful conversations to broaden our understanding.
It's about expanding our horizons and challenging our own assumptions.
Precisely.
Okay.
He also emphasizes the importance of being self-aware and acknowledging our own biases.
So recognizing that we all have blind spots and that our own perspectives might not always be the most accurate or insightful.
You got it.
Yeah.
And he suggests regularly asking ourselves questions like, am I being objective?
Okay.
Am I considering all sides of the issue?
Those are great questions to check our own thinking and make sure we're not letting our biases take over.
Exactly.
Right.
Once we've developed a greater appreciation for different perspectives and a healthy skepticism of our own assumptions, Maxwell suggests trying new things in new ways.
So breaking out of our routines and experimenting with different approaches.
Precisely.
I like that.
Yeah, it's important.
It's about being willing to step outside our comfort zone and embrace the unknown.
Exactly.
What else?
He also emphasizes the importance of getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Why is that?
Because challenging popular thinking often means going against the grain and taking risks.
Right.
He says that those who achieve great things are often those who are willing to embrace discomfort and challenge the status quo.
So it's about having the courage to stand out from the crowd and follow our own unique path.
You got it.
Okay.
And he encourages us to see discomfort as a sign that we're growing and expanding our horizons.
So it's not something to be afraid of, but rather something to embrace as a catalyst for personal growth and development.
Precisely.
I like that.
And he reminds us that while popular thinking might offer a sense of comfort and security,
Right.
it's often those who dare to think differently who make the most significant contributions to the world.
This is all so inspiring.
It is.
It's a call to be more mindful of our thinking,
Yes.
to question our assumptions,
Right.
and to embrace the power of independent thought.
Exactly.
And it's about recognizing that our thoughts have the power to shape our reality and create the life we want.
Precisely.
I love that.
It's powerful.
It's a reminder that we're not just passive bystanders in our own lives,
Right.
but active creators of our own destinies.
Exactly.
That's a great point.
And that brings us back to Maxwell's main message.
Mhm.
Thinking is a skill that can be cultivated and honed.
And by using these different types of thinking,
Yes.
we can reach our full potential for success and fulfillment in every part of our lives.
Exactly. It's a powerful message.
It is.
And it's something we can all benefit from.
Yeah, it really is powerful stuff.
It is. It really is.
And it makes you think Maxwell focuses a lot on how individuals think.
Right.
But what if we took this to a bigger scale? Like, what if we applied these principles not just to ourselves,
Okay.
but to our teams, our organizations, even our communities?
That's a fascinating thought.
Right.
Imagine a whole team trained to think strategically, challenge assumptions in a constructive way, and focus on what's good for everyone.
Exactly.
The potential for innovation and making a real difference would be incredible.
It would be huge.
It wouldn't be easy, though.
No,
It would take a real culture shift, a commitment to constant learning and growth.
definitely.
But the payoff could be amazing.
It would be worth it.
It's something to think about for sure.
It is. We've covered so much ground today.
We have.
From that big picture thinking to the more subtle insights of reflective thinking.
And there's even more to uncover in the book.
Right, absolutely.
There's so much good stuff in there.
But hopefully, this deep dive has given you a good starting point
I hope so.
for approaching your own thinking,
Right?
for developing those mental habits that can lead to more success and fulfillment in all areas of your life.
That's the goal.
Absolutely.
And remember, thinking is a skill.
Yeah.
Just like anything else, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered.
So keep those minds active, keep those ideas flowing, and never stop being curious.
That's it.
Until next time, happy thinking.
Happy thinking.